Good afternoon, good morning to all of you. And thank you, Paul, Jack, and Sid, and the team for the opportunity for me to share today. Hope everyone is safe and comfortable working from home or in office for some countries. Good news again for today for Singapore, as I'm staying in Singapore, 0 in the community, so wonderful news. And hopefully we get into phase 3 at the end of the year. Phase 3 is waiting for us. And travel bubbles, if you have heard about that, that is free lanes for traveling, for leisure travels. So hopefully that awaits us at the end of the year. As you know, I'm also in Singapore. My background is actually a real background of my patio. So some quick update about myself. As what Pandit has shared, I didn't prepare a slide for that, I'm sorry. I graduated in NUS, National University of Singapore as well. I spent 8 years in the mobile GSM technology. I'm a mobile guy as a start. I'm 13 years in Cisco in various functions, so still going strong, I hope. And for leisure, I am a soccer fan, a soccer player, and very much a sad Spurs supporter, okay, for this week. I hope for this week only, okay. So today my sharing will be focused on the role of digital culture in Cisco's digital transformation journey. As you can see from the title, it will be mainly internal sharing. I hope that our journey can actually have some good sharing and best practice to all the audiences for today. As I shared right now, Cisco as a glance, Cisco is a multinational technology vendor. We specialize in enterprise networking, data center, cloud security, mainly in this function. And last but not least, of course, collaboration. As you're using Zoom, one of our flagship is actually WebEx. So in this global pandemic itself, there's 3 big brands that came out, which is Zoom, WebEx, and MS Teams. So this forms part of a very major digital culture as well. Now, if you look at the Cisco at a glance, that's the number of employees that we have on your top left corner, broken down into various functions. On the top right-hand corner, you have the number of countries and number of offices that we operate in. And I'm proud to tell you that the APJC hub is actually in Singapore. I think the EMEA hub is, if I'm not wrong, in London. I'm not too sure, but I stand to be corrected as well for that. My apologies. So you can see the number of devices that is also connected to enable us to perform our role daily. A huge number of them. A huge number of storage that we need, messagings that we do, meetings that we do, and last but not least, huge number of threats that we prevent on a daily basis. So that actually sums up what do we do on in a day basis itself. Now, conscious of how we do our work itself, when you go into a digital culture, you always ask yourself, how do we manage our team? How do we know that our team is performing, is actually working as well? So we leverage our own technology to stay connected. We need to stay connected with all our employees. We leverage our own technology, being WebEx being one of the technology that we leverage on for not just meeting, but also conferencing, messaging, whiteboarding, etc., and file sharing. Next is to stay informed. I think it's important to be aware and adaptive. The employee needs to be aware of what is happening, what do we do? Let's say, for example, on a pandemic like this, what do we do? And be adaptive to that. So aware and be adaptive. Staying engaged with our people. I think it's, as leaders, I think it's our job to stay engaged with our team, even virtually right now. That's why we have an internal tool. It's called TeamSpace, that we stay intact with our people. And also, we interact with our people regularly through WebEx as well. Last but not least, there's always a weekly check-in for us as well. So this is one tools and technologies that enable us to stay engaged to our employees. Last but not least, importantly, during this time, stay healthy. we have a program that you can see there, Cisco program that we actually launched to actually make sure that all the employees are staying healthy and safe during this COVID situation itself. So this is actually our conscious culture at work. That's how we stay engaged with our employees as well. Now, if you look at the COVID situation itself, it has also taken a big hit on Cisco ourselves. As a technology company, you will find that we may be more, I would say, more prepared for cases like this. But having said that, COVID-19 is really something that a lot of people can't predict. And it has really a big impact on us as well. Moving our workforce home, you can see that 140,000 of us from 96 countries in 10 days. We have to do that to keep everyone safe. We have to expand our private network, our connectivity back home, and that's a 2 times capacity increase. Now, we are also a very remote working company because we are all remote workers, no desks, no offices. But we will also need to increase our capacity within 2 weeks to twofold. That's something that we have delivered. Third point is that you will see that the global IT support has also increased by 1.5 points across March and February because of COVID. And new employees, we have new employees, but couldn't go back to office. So they have to have their assets and laptops all shipped to them as well. Last but not least, favorite WebEx user increased 3 times, 500 million meetings across April itself after March. Now that is some big numbers that increase in WebEx. I'm sure it's the same increase in Zoom, increase in MS Team. That's why during this pandemic, 3 big brands actually came out in collaboration itself. Last but not least, also aligning to the customers, because if we face this pandemic, the customers' needs is also increased. Increase on the consumption of SaaS, increase in the performance and quality of the services. We also do our part to support the community, as well as a lot of other companies across the world. We donate masks, face shields, surgical masks, and most importantly, from our own technology, video use units as well for work at home. Now, what's Cisco's building blocks for this COVID itself? We tend to make it according to I will give you an example according to the Singapore law as well. Singapore law has a circuit breaker, has a phase 1. So that's when we do a secure remote work itself, whereby circuit breaker and phase 1, usually we cannot go back to office. I'll correct myself. We cannot go back to office, but we can support our important customers on site. So we still allow some people to go back to work at the site itself, but that is secure remote work itself. After that, now that we are in phase 2, we are returning to workplace, and we have returned to workplace itself. So that's a phase 2, and ensuring that the employees return safely to the office itself. I'm not sure whether you know the laws in Singapore. We have the Trace, Connect, and Safe Entry, social distancing. These are all enabled by technology, in our digital culture itself. I would say that this is very, very big part of Singaporeans' digital culture. It's not just Cisco's digital culture. Now, last but not least is also the flexible multi-cloud. As we get into this COVID itself, there's a lot of more consumption across the cloud. Before COVID, I see a lot of resistance in going to cloud or even hybrid cloud. But the COVID actually enhanced the digital adoption of cloud itself. So I'm happy to see this, but sad for the COVID, of course. The employees increased really the usage of the WebEx platform, not just by meeting itself, as I mentioned, WebEx calls, file share, whiteboarding, messages. You can see that there's a lot of growth in the numbers, but the growth is not big because we are very much as I mentioned, very much remote workers already. So we are quite well adopted to this. We still like the office, of course. Some of us still spend half the time in office, but we are very adaptable to this hybrid workforce itself. That's why we are not that badly hit. There's growth, but we are not that affected. We see a pervasive use of video use cases in people counting alerts, voice and application controls. I don't know whether you know, in Singapore context, we have a initiative to spend less of touching, more of speaking. So the more you touch, the more you get the virus. That's a precaution. We have signatures and check-ins, as I mentioned to you, a trace safe entry, trace connect, and also the social distancing. Last but not least, one great initiative that we have done, we have shifted our receptionist, our concierge, back to virtual, and she's sitting safely at home as well. So this is a virtual reception that I mentioned here. When we get into this pandemic, there's a lot of things that we need to watch for ourselves, not just going to work normally, virtually in our home office as well, but we also need to make sure that we are mindful of our health, staying healthy, staying safe, and most importantly, for us as leaders to be engaged with our employees, to check on them as well. So we have a lot of initiative here, power teams, virtual health checks, and which one do you want to focus on it? There's a lot of initiatives, sporting initiative. We do runs, we do cyclings. We have a soccer team here, but we are waiting to play because all the pitch are closed. So that's a lot of, I would say, outside of work that we try to balance off. We don't term it as work-life balance. We term it as work-life integration for us. So that's a special work for us in our culture itself. So what have we learned in this digital journey itself? I guess the first learning is that collaboration is more than just meeting. It's about messaging. You don't meet often, you message a lot. But a lot of us use WhatsApp. But WhatsApp is actually a very, I would say, a very social kind of messaging. It's not, I would say, a work messaging. So we use WebEx as messaging, file sharing, and meeting. Establishing a single source of truth is critical here because we gone through COVID and there was a lot of rumors about people here, people there having COVID and ambulance here and there. So establishing a single source of truth is always very important. Third point is that the simple and clear policy. Now we have gone through this phase. We gone through circuit breaker. We're going through phase one. We are now in phase two. I believe a simple and clear policy is very important. And with the senior leaders leading by example. I'll give you an example. In Singapore context, we have team A, team B. We have teaming. All right, this is I would say a very typical Singaporean process only. Okay, but what is special about the teaming is that there's a lot of companies who does team A week one, team two, team B week two. Our concept is that we can't wait so long to get back into office. So you have a very long wait time before you can actually step into office. Well, we plan in such a way that team A is Monday, Thursday. Team B is Tuesday, Friday. Wednesday is cleaning day, so nobody comes in. Saturday, Sunday, no work at all. We are still human beings. Saturday, Sunday, no work for us as well. Okay, so that's our unique kind of planning that we have done for our company in Singapore. Last but not least, I think this point is very important. One of the questions that was asked, how do we gauge the performance? We have to trust. We have to do regular check-ins. These are things that we have performed and it works very well for us in Cisco. I'm proud to announce, to share with you that Cisco is the great place to work, number one globally for two years in a row. I'm sure we'll make a hat trick next year. Yeah, thank you. Future opportunities I see. I guess the workplace transformation is really there. We really need to do this. We need to enhance the service offerings for remote workers, hybrid workers. There's a lot of different workers right now because of what's happening. We have to digitize and automate all the processes in order for all these functions to work. I mentioned visibility, insights, and action. These are data to help us to perform better, to tweak our process, to make sure that there's always improvement and changes. Last but not least, as I mentioned, a flexible hybrid cloud architecture for resiliency, for security, for agility. And it's really a very big improvement in our digital culture itself. Well, the world is different right now. We just have to reimagine what is possible in the future itself. And hopefully the culture and the technology plays a very important part in it. With that, I thank you for your time and hope the session is, the sharing is enjoyable for you. Thank you.